The highlights that I would like to mention for the foundation is how we have developed a relationship with government. It's how over about 5 ministers of education who have found a median where we can be seen as supporting rather than as competing. I think for me that has been a very important highlight in our trajectory.
I think Zenex Foundation is one of the great partners that we've had in the system. In fact, I had known Zenex Foundation in my days when I was still at the National Department of Education. I know that they are a foundation that funds education, development and innovations. One of the things you may know, not only does it affect Gauteng, but it affects the whole country, is that we have not been able to get our young people to acquire competencies in reading, in language, as well as mathematics at the appropriate level. And Zenex Foundation has been a great partner for us to try to understand the mischief in the context of the learning and the teaching of language.
Zenex chose to support the cause of creating better environments for learning and teaching, to support the mobilization of resources for infrastructure development. They just didn't rock up and say, we hear you looking for resources, here's resource that you could use, and walked away.
In an environment where you work in partnership, especially with government, you're always going to find challenges. But the challenges also present opportunities. And part of the key challenges are, for instance, that it takes time to agree on approaches around the improvement or the implementation of programs. Obviously, government is very large, and therefore you need to have, one, the ability to negotiate, discuss, and agree with government, but secondly, the patience to just understand that decisions in a big system like the system that the government runs does take time. And secondly, you've also got to be willing to give away control, because if you're working in partnership with other organizations, and especially with government, you must be able to give and take. You must be prepared to compromise in a number of cases. And working in partnership with others, especially to drive systemic change, is going to require a huge amount of effort on the one hand. We should be, in fact, be prepared as a Zenex Foundation to stand up there and say things are not going well, and have the courage and the conviction to actually be able to do that.
I've worked with many NGOs in education and other spheres. I think there are 3 things that always strike me about them. One is, which I've already mentioned, they're learning organizations. So they're prepared to take on board things that they learn from various studies, and including M&E studies. They're also are willing to take risks in innovative projects, where basically other organizations might say, we can't really invest there, the risk is too high. If you don't take risk, you won't look at what are innovative models that work. There's a very clear commitment to feeding back the results of studies to the constituencies where they work. We've been involved in that. Let me say, we've done many meetings where, when we completed the school development project report about 2 years ago, we went back and held meetings with principals at schools, and separately, and district officials and provincial authorities, and fed back the information to them.
Significant change in education is not going to be achieved through quick projects. Sometimes we can have an impact on a particular locality in the lives of a particular group of teachers and learners. But in order to understand how that learning can have an impact on the system more broadly, you need to be there for the long haul. Zenex has been making a change in education for the last 20 years, and they will continue to, on the basis of not only the actions that have made the difference in schools, but on the reflection of those learnings that inform not only their work going forward, but inform the education community more broadly.